Welcome back, folks. Cape Rugby TV. We carry on talking about what's happening in the world of Western Province Club Rugby. Of course, things are very technical at the moment, especially when it comes to COVID matters. Compliance officers have to be in place. Submissions have to be in place. Return to training plans have to be in place. Players have to sign documentation before practice. All of these components have to be in place before players, in fact, get back to training. Now, Rocklands has got their ducks in a row. And to tell me more about what's happening at Rocklands Rugby Football Club is Deon Daniels. Deon is, of course, the COVID compliance officer at Rocklands Rugby Football Club. Deon, fantastic to have you on the show. How are you?
I'm fine, thanks, JP. How are you?
Deon, let's start at the beginning. You are the compliance officer, the COVID-19 compliance officer at Rocklands. This is, of course, a requirement for clubs to have in place.
That is correct. If you, or I'm sure you, of course, more than anyone else, are aware of the fact that last year rugby died down because of the COVID-19 pandemic. This year, what has happened is that with very strict protocols, we could not start rugby until we met all the requirements of, firstly, the world body, worldrugby.org, as well as SARU, and then Western Province Rugby Football Union. And it is not just a matter of getting a compliance officer or a certificate of operation. It's also about ensuring that we have a live system that we can, on a daily basis, ensure compliance, that we prevent infection, and ultimately what we don't want is death on the rugby field.
Deon, so how are things then going at Rocklands? Of course, you know, last week we spoke to Earl a few times to find out how you guys are doing and staying in contact with your players, and of course now 2 weeks ago or a few weeks ago, SA Rugby announced the return to play, let me get that right, return to training. We've in fact have spoken to already a few folks that have managed to get the players back on the field. Are you guys there yet?
Yes, we are. Officially, our practice session started last week, but we're going to get the guys now to start training as from this coming Tuesday. And again, as I said, it is not just a matter of ticking the boxes when it comes to compliance. It is about sustaining that as well. So yes, we are ready to go. We've done some behind the scenes work prior to us getting the official recognition from Western Province to start training, as well as the appointment of the compliance COVID-19 compliance officer.
Deon, just tell us a little bit about the actual recruitment there. I know that you guys keep telling, especially on your social media platforms, you're telling people about Rocklands. We see some really exciting photographs there. I believe that you guys are very active with recruitment at the moment, trying to keep your members engaged and even bring in some new members.
That is correct. The recruitment is ongoing. If I can just bring something in that is, of course, applicable to all clubs. At the moment, all the club players are not officially registered, but of course they have a loyalty towards their clubs. Then there is now the window of opportunity for players to move between clubs. And what we have seen as a result, we've seen players who are previously from Rocklands who are still coming to the club and still wanting to at least remain physically fit. So that being said, what we have in place at the moment is the recruitment drive. Of course, social media, as you are aware, is stating all of that. And it is a continuous process. It is a matter of we're trying to at least, with the youth division this year, to at least have 200 plus players registered by the time Western Province says to us that we are ready to register players.
Deon, when we spoke to Irwell last year, you guys were very active in terms of helping out in the community. Your players, your management, everybody was coming together to try and support those less fortunate that the club could reach out to. One of the structures that you've got a relationship with there, and we see the poster, is Invisible Hands. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Okay. Thank you for allowing me to mention this, JP. Invisible Hands is a charity organization where when we started the feeding scheme where we look at underprivileged areas and to reach out to those communities. Of course, as you know, COVID-19 hit us very hard. The economy is down, so there's unemployment, and we not we respect the integrity of communities. So it's not a matter of trying to expose people, and we have to consider dignity. So it is a respectable manner of handing out to the community something which, at least if there's no food on the table for that specific day, then at least we are trying just to alleviate the issues that they are struggling with on a day-to-day basis. So yes, that is where Invisible Hands, once we started ourselves, we had to contribute as players towards this feeding scheme, and of course it became a bit expensive. So we then reached out to certain organizations, and Invisible Hands, they were kind enough to actually, because this is basically what they are about. And hooking up with them, that means the next time, if we have what is now currently twice a month, we're trying to work towards weekly. They are still on board to help us wherever they can, of course, bearing in mind that they have limited resources. So at the same time, we're also appealing for the extra donations where it can help us to make sure that we can sustain this, because it doesn't mean if the league starts or practice starts that we will stop this. This is now something that we saw is very important for our community, so we want to continue building on that.
And Deon, I'm assuming if people want to get involved, if they want to reach out, Facebook is probably still one of the best places to get hold of you.
That is absolutely correct, yes.
Thanks, Deon. We'll leave it at that, and we'll of course say to you, we know that you're the health and safety officer there. Your company, in fact, helping out there, I believe, and sponsoring the juniors. So we thank you for that. But we know that if you're involved with the health and safety, then at least the boxes are ticked on that side. And we'll say to you and everybody else out there, stay safe, and we're looking forward to getting more feedback.
Thank you very much. If I can just conclude by saying one thing to the other clubs who are in the same position as Rocklands. This has to be a collective effort. One person, one section of a club cannot do this alone. COVID-19, we know, impacts not only on our play, on us as players, it impacts on our family. There are persons already who have experienced death, who have experienced at least infection. So we know it is now within our midst, because we are in the midst of a pandemic. So the important thing, if there's something that anyone else watching this program can take home with them, is the fact that we all need to unite and work together as a team. This is what rugby teaches us. Yeah. If COVID-19 is the big guy on the field, we know the slogan, the bigger they are, the harder they fall. So we can combat this pandemic by just applying the skill set that we have, because rugby is ultimately about life skills.
Thanks, Deon. There we go, folks. Deon Daniels, of course, COVID compliance officer at Rocklands Rugby Football Club. And great to see that there is a good example of the health and safety protocols being applied at Rocklands Rugby Football Club, and well done to everybody out there. And there's a good lesson there for everybody to pay attention to those health and safety protocols. Very important that everybody plays their part. Folks, of course, as you know, on a weekly basis, we do the MChem 24-hour pharmacy public review. And these are reviews that come in from you, the public, either on Google or on Facebook, of course, after you've been shopping at MChem. And this week's review comes in from Ronelle Roper. And Ronelle, of course, gave MChem a 5-star rating. And she goes on to say, "Thank you for going the extra mile this morning. Will always be grateful." I'm assuming then that Ronelle popped into the store sometime this morning to go and do her shopping at MChem. And that's, of course, a fantastic 5-star review there from Ronelle Roper. Folks, of course, you can also leave your reviews after you've been to visit MChem. And, of course, as you know, every staff member at MChem 24-hour pharmacy is geared to help you with all of your pharmaceutical requirements, from the minute that you park to the minute that you leave. And of course, MChem staff are there to help you with whatever you need, whenever you need it. And that is, of course, MChem's promise. MChem 24-hour pharmacy, always open, and they're there to help you 24 hours a day, every day. MChem 24-hour pharmacy. you got to go there. You've got to go pop in that MChem. As you know, it's open 24 hours a day. And I love the fact, as I've mentioned before, I love the fact that there's free parking outside and enough parking, enough space as well for you to park into the pharmacy. And of course, as I've told you before, it's just a matter of seconds from the time that you park before somebody arrives and says, can they help you? Folks, we'll take an ad break, and when we come back from the break, we'll carry on talking about what's happening in the world of club rugby. Back in a sec.